It can be a little chaotic before the holidays. So if you're joining us, thank you for being here. We're grateful to be here. We're grateful to be joined by one of our dietitians who's
Mhm.
very, very special, very unique in what she's bringing together, which is that of the emotions and the physical, essentially, right? The emotions and nutrition. And so, Laura, please introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, everyone. As Dali and James just mentioned, I specialize a lot in emotions and bringing in that connection between the mind and the body, and with the physical parts of our lives, like food. Because as we've known, they both have an impact. They play ping pong on a daily basis.
Mhm. So we want to get into that. The title is "Are Your Emotions Affecting Your Gut Health?" And really, if you know us, you know that gut health is the entire body of health, right? Gut health, what we say, is the nexus of all health on the planet. So we see this as emotional release being needed. We see this as emotional blockage. We see, again, one of the biggest root causes, I know Dahlia sees a lot in her patients, is that of emotions when it gets into emotional health, mental health. So this was a perfect time. I mean, even for us, things are chaotic for us, to be honest. Like, we got to go to family, and Christmas Eve is coming, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and everything going on. But it's like slowing down, taking a breath, being mindful. Laura was just telling me, like, watch it, right? Or like watch these emotions, be aware of these emotions. And so that's really what we wanted to talk about today, is like what is this technique of emotional release, and why is it important? Let's start there, maybe. Like what
Mhm.
is it, first of all?
Okay, so emotional release may have it may build an image in your brain of yelling and screaming and like going crazy with your emotions and letting them go. And then you move on with your life, right? And then you're just fixed. And that's the beauty of it, because it's like a psychosomatic approach, meaning it works with the mind and the body. And
Mhm.
it basically helps our bodies and mind to connect to deeply repressed parts of ourselves that have been fragmented from situations and life events that were too hard to process in the moment.
Mm.
So now they lay dormant in our subconscious. And it's just a very gentle journey that uses breath work, touch whenever I'm in person, but also online is as effective because you can apply your own touch in certain points, and verbal guidance. So it's
Mhm.
like going into a journey where you're just, in your internal world, going into your subconscious at times, whatever comes up, comes up. And then you, with awareness, witness and relate differently to these parts that were so hard to process in the moment.
Mm. And I want to bring that to life. I want to be vulnerable and share something with that really quickly. I've done a lot of work on this myself, and that's why I've seen how important this is. Whether it is with a therapist or with someone certified in emotional release. I mean, just there's so many areas of support out there. And for me, that happened, just to kind of bring what you said to like a story really quickly in my life. Many people don't know. I don't share this. We haven't gotten to this section of Married to Health, but I grew up in a very abusive household. I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. So like a lot of people, when they know my story of like where I grew up, I didn't even know this, but as I met more and more people, they're like, "You grew up there and that happened to you?" And like they're so shocked because of how I am. But for a while, how I was on the outside didn't match what was on the inside. Like I was, you have, like you said, these emotional blockages, or you're not really ready to unearth those emotions that were there from the past, so much so that you can forget. I had my father recently tell me a story about a Christmas when I was like 12 or 13 that I completely blocked out of my memory. And it wasn't until he told the story, and it was a horrible Christmas, by the way. Um, just to be fully transparent, but I have no shame about it. I'm not really like too hesitant to share, because I think it's very helpful to share. But it's, that of my father getting angry, him and my mother weren't communicating. There's a lot there. He was throwing stuff, and my younger brother's crying, my older brother, I can't even really remember all of it, but I do remember it. And it was a horrible Christmas, and it was something that was so traumatic. because it's supposed to be this time of like family and unity, and for those that are believers, Jesus and Christmas, and it was so opposite that I think in my young childhood brain it was what is it, freeze, fawn, right?
Fight, flight, freeze,
Fight,
fawn.
flight. It was like a complete freeze. So where like ice age, like go deep, freeze, and just never unearth it. Put it in the deep freezer and just don't even think about it ever again. And it's just so crazy. So I personally have that experience. I've experienced that and felt that. And it's like when you do then open that deep freezer and go, whoa, this thing's a mess. And let's clean this out and like chip off the old freezer burn so that you can kind of clean things out and truly heal. It is so, so powerful. Were you gonna say something to that, or
No, I think, we just see it so commonly, whether it's been personally that we've observed this or
yeah.
professionally with our patients, of seeing when you're not prepared to do that work, sometimes you can either freeze or you can distract. And we know food is a really easy distraction for people. So I have heard this time and time again from my patients where aren't maybe they don't have the resources or aren't ready yet to deal with these emotions. And so they tend to maybe stuff them down and cover them up with something else that's a temporary pleasure. And food is so accessible. Food is so ubiquitous. Food is so available. So often it's food that we tend to stuff these emotions down with. And I feel like when we don't deal with these distressing situations and we just kind of stuff them down, it can be easy to kind of just stuff them down in your gut, right? And your gut is a very easy target, I think, for a lot of this stress because of that strong gut brain connection. But I think that's where, Laura, your work is so important, of understanding that piece of nutrition and understanding that relationship with food can so often be fragmented, or people can engage in hedonic eating where they're not hungry, they're just looking for something else out of this food.
Dahlia looked at me there because I was a morbidly obese child, and it makes a lot of sense now
Oh,
why
you and me both. I mean,
I would use food to like, forget, or that dopamine that I needed, or that healing chemical energy, but it was that almost that emotional chemical energy, to use food to be like, it's okay, just have more chips and cake and
this feels
Pop
good.
Tarts.
But we see that so often. So,
Yeah.
James's story, unfortunately, is so often repeated. And I think that is where, Laura, you can provide such a unique insight and such a unique resource to people, because you get both sides of it, the emotion and how to release, and the food and how to really understand relationship with food, and the why behind why we make some of these choices that we make with food.
Yeah, and it's also, well, first of all, James, thank you so much for sharing. I don't want this to be
Thank
like,
you.
like it's nothing,
Yeah.
because it takes a lot of time and process to heal all of these, emotions, big emotions that really mark your life in a way. But also remind ourselves that the things that happen to us, despite as traumatic or that they've been helping us to get to where we are today here. And I'm glad that somehow we have this mechanism in the body that allows us to repress these emotions, because maybe at the moment we didn't have the tools, or as a child you don't really know exactly what's going on. As a child, you're just hoping that you're getting the guidance from the people that you look up for, right? And if that's your dad or your mom and they never got those tools, then you won't get them. So you will get what you see from the people that you admire. And so you build all of these layers like a little onion to protect yourself and repress them. And you literally, what it does, the body is so smart. It just puts them in like this safe box, safe for the future processing. So it doesn't forget, although you do forget. So like it goes into the subconscious, but it's in your body, in your memory, it's in your cells, it's in your in your fascia. And it's stored in this cabinet of, okay, for future processing, stamp in a location wherever in the body. And then you probably have noticed in your life with triggers, because the more we repress emotions, the deepest it goes and wanders in our, parts of the body, and then they're trying to get resolution in a way, so they bring it up into our awareness in different ways. And many times it could be as dreams, it could be as a trigger, it could be as a projection that we get from people in our daily basis. And sometimes we don't even know why we get bothered by certain things. And it's a great opportunity to realize that it's our body trying to tell us, hey, there's something that needs to be resolved that we don't know at the moment. We just don't know. But that's why this work is so powerful and transformative, because we can just, what's ready to be seen will be seen with awareness.
I love that. It's almost like yeah, when I mentioned that freezer analogy, it's almost like what scientists do now. We kind of deep freeze things because like we don't know what to do with it, or we don't have the technology just yet. Let's put it on ice, and then when we do have the technology, let's bring it back and actually do something with it. That's so powerful. And I love that perspective, Laura. It's so healthy. Like for anyone listening, whether you're watching live or in the future, this idea of like you are where you're supposed to be. Like you're watching this for a reason. You're seeking knowledge, or you're on this journey for a reason. What happened to me as a child happened for a reason. And I processed it later, right? Like I was able to, like, my body as in a healthy positive way was like, hey, we have these mechanisms in place to save you and keep you going and healthy, and then you can unearth it later on. And the brain, I mean, that speaks to just how amazing the brain is, right? Like we have thoughts in there that we don't even know about, that we forgot about, that may manifest differently, and our brain is just so amazing and so complex. So that is so powerful. And it's been a blessing overall to then realize, okay, nutrition's great. Like you could eat healthy, right? You could eat all the whole food, let's say you're whole food, plant-based or organic, or you have your own farm with all your own animals, and it's the perfect situation. But you're like, man, I still am getting bloated, or I get these, that's what I call them, gut feelings, right? Especially maybe going into seeing certain family members as the holidays approach, or like a new year, and you have all these, we put all this pressure about the new year. Oh, were you successful? Did you reach all your New Year's resolutions? Did you accomplish A, B, C, D? And for those of us who put so much pressure on ourselves, we start to like, my gut hurts, or I'm having diarrhea, or I'm feeling more bloated. And we start to manifest these physical ailments from a lot of what's going on internally. And that's why I wanted to do this. This is a perfect timing for this at the end of the year, where a lot of these emotions are bubbling up, are getting thought out, if you will, or we're opening the lockbox to our emotions, and then we're seeing flares in IBD or IBS, or you name it, diabetes. I mean, across the board, they can manifest quite differently, right?
And even disordered eating, because
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen this so often working and specializing in gut health, where, yeah, there may be these suppressed emotions. Someone might not be feeling well, and they learn about nutrition and they go into it bright eyed, bushy tailed, and they feel like this is it. This is going to fix all my problems. So they tell themselves, if I just eat the perfect diet, right? If I just eat enough protein and I eat this amount of vegetables and fruits and I have these antioxidants, probiotics, I'll have to feel great. And I can control that. I can control
Mhm.
how much I eat, what I eat, when I eat. I can fix myself. And they have this kind of destinational happiness, right? Where they're like, I will feel better when I get to this perfect diet. And sometimes they arrive and they're like, why do I still feel so awful? Right. And outside of things that can be going on anatomically, there's so much that the brain and gut are communicating back to one another. And we do know, yeah, that these emotions can be such a deep root, like Laura was saying, so internal in the onion that, yes, maybe these layers of nutrition that you formed around the onion are protective and helpful and might be, adding a net benefit to your life and to your health. And those emotions are still there. So if they're not addressed, if they're not processed, if they're not unpacked, they're still often at the root of what ails people. And I'm sure, Laura, just with me, you've seen that with, our patients that we work with your own. So I'd love to hear more about that, of where you see this also, not only with, other like metabolic diseases, but also with disordered eating, because I think this is huge. And I do see also, and we see this in research, disordered eating is so common in the gut health population. And so is trauma. We do know in studies, they do show that those who have experienced early adverse life events in the first 5 to 7 years of life, they're 5 times more likely to have IBS. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. So yeah, I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah. Like you said, Dahlia, these emotions they're stored there. Like emotions are basically energy, and different emotions have different frequencies. And the body is basically like a channel or a vessel. And this energy is supposed to go in and out. Like you probably have seen a baby when they're born, whatever they feel, they will feel. And they don't care if they get red or if they are bothering someone. They don't care about that. If they felt it, the energy will be out and they will cry, they will do a tantrum, whatever that is. You can see that also in animals.
Mhm.
A gazelle that gets chased by a lion, it will play dead, will freeze. When the danger is over, it will stand up, shake it out, release the emotion, let it go, and then it continues again with its life. So it's like kind of like touching a little bit onto like the nervous system. It's like we're supposed to go into like safety, activation, safety, and so forth. But the problem in today's world is that we stay stuck in activation. We don't come back to safety. And then what I see a lot with some of the clients that I've worked with is that they're activated all the time. They're not thriving. They're not waking up every day thinking, oof, I'm so glad to be alive, or oof, look at the sun, or look at the nature. No, they're waking up, oh my gosh, the day is here, like survival. They're living to survive. And we know that when we're surviving, the first things that go to the trash are reproductive system and our gut. Digestion, bye, it's over. Because at this point, we're just trying to survive. And for that, we only need our brain, our lungs, our heart. And I think that's it, pretty much just the most important parts of our body. And the rest goes, like, I don't know where it goes, but it's shut down.
Go like battery saver mode, right? It's like
Yes.
just the essentials and everything shut down, and like battery saving mode, like time to just survive and get through this day until I could finally like shut down myself. Or I mean, this leads to, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on then in that phase, then you're using outside, right? Like whether that's alcohol or cigarettes or caffeine, food, and that goes back to that of just trying to maintain this. It's almost like an uh artificial like peace, right? Or that safety. You called it what, activation, and what
Yeah,
was
like we go safety, then activate, then safety,
right,
then activate. Like
right,
it's normal. We want to be activated. Like we want stress. Stress is not bad or good. It's like anything in life, right? It's like when we go into the extremes or we get stuck in one and don't come back.
right,
Because if someone is chasing us in the street, we do want to get activated. We don't want to just be like, oh hey, come take some coffee and like let's chat about life. No, you want to run and just for your life.
right.
But then after that, you want to have the time to come back of like, okay, this is done. My life is like, I'm not in threat anymore. I need to calm my nervous system down again, come back to safety. But also,
What's
I think, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, yeah. I want to say, because you said something that I think a lot of people a little bit earlier will be like, "What? That's not true." That talking about energy and our body being a vessel for this energy and everything. What's really cool, I just want to say for everyone watching, it's the research, the peer-reviewed research is catching up to this, right? What was more like Eastern or kind of the fringe idea of energies and or chakras. I mean, every kind of society and kind of healing modality within ancient religions or societies or regions have their own version of this. But this idea of energy in the literature, at least in PubMed where I've seen it, is biofield research, right? It's understanding the energy of the body. And I know we've discussed this previously, but even us as nutritionists, as dietitians, we're getting into this idea of like, what is nutrition, right? Where we're identifying breathing and drinking water and obviously food. All of that is energy at the end of the day when you go back to the basic foundation. A way I was explaining it recently was like, we all have like the same clay, let's call it energy, and we're literally just taking pieces of it and shaping it into different things, right? Some of this clay energy becomes food. Some of this clay energy is sunlight. Some of this clay energy is physical touch, hugs and kisses, and beyond, to reproduce and make even different versions of clay that we call babies. And so, but it's all this foundation of energy. So this idea that we are vessels, we ourselves are energy. Look at our nervous system. We're conductors. We're literally electrical biochemical beings that are walking around just releasing energy to each other. Literally, the voice you're hearing from me is energy going into electrical devices, and you're watching this on an electrical energy based device. It's pretty profound when you think about it, right? Like, and so
Your
I
presence
just
is energy also, like by resonance. Yeah, it's crazy.
that's it. It's crazy. So I wanted to say that just to bring people back to like, this is evidence based, backed by science. And when you think about it logically of what we're doing, like, it's energy. It's pretty crazy. But hope I didn't throw you off too much. But I just wanted to kind of say that because you touched on that, and it's so important that a lot of people realize this. Yeah.
And also I wanted to say, it's kind of makes sense that we are all living in this, like we're all surviving, because we never really, first of all, when we were younger, we never got taught or the tools to feel our emotions. It wasn't safe to feel our emotions. It wasn't safe to be angry. It wasn't safe to cry, like, because you felt like crying, or you're usually like bullied, or like, oh, you're crying, that's not for strong people or whatever. Or for women, I see this a lot. For women, it's like you have to portray this good girl for such a long time, and that really, it's like a weight that you have in your shoulders, because then it's all of these, like, you're trying to be perfect, and then by being perfect all the time, it's like you have all of these imposter syndrome and all of these things that kind of like little cousins, and it gets to a point where you're just holding the world into your arms, and just then on top of that you want to work on your well-being and eat well, and just by holding your arms like this and holding the world, imagine all of these things that go on top. It's just like it's that's where I kind of like go into, like, first we gotta work on the body. We gotta bring the body back to safety, because if the body doesn't understand that it's safe to be in our body, that this is safe to be in my home, then it's not gonna activate these systems that are needed for nutrition, for digestion, for pleasure, for reproduction. All of these that we have, this full human experience.
I want to get into that. So what is your approach there? Like, what does it mean to like get back into the body? And I want to also say, what do you mean? We don't have a reproductive issue. We don't have increasing GI issues and basically diabetes and obesity. We have none of those issues. So everyone's great, right? But we know that's not true. We do have all these issues, and we're seeing this. So what does that mean? What is, can you give us maybe
What does
some
that
tidbits,
process
like
look
what is that
like? Yeah.
process of like, okay, that's the first step, is like feeling safe in the body. What would somebody do maybe, or what's like an exercise that they could do?
Well, the first thing I do is building a practice, as simple as being as much as you can handle, right? Because like I said, if we have never established this practice before, then obviously when we close our eyes, just by closing our eyes, we now start like all of these starts like talking, right? Our ego or our mind, it starts like all of these unread messages in the email box, right, start to come up. And then it gets overwhelming. And then the to-do lists and all these things. Oh, you haven't done this. Oh, you still need to go to the grocery. Oh, you still need to do blah, 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 blah. Then obviously you get overwhelmed and then you start feeling anxious. But it's as simple as building a tiny ritual for yourself every day in the morning, even if it's a minute, just by closing your eyes. And okay, it's super overwhelming, and it's not supposed to be for you to be suffering or punishing you. It should be something that is felt, it should feel good to you. And it just, even if it's a minute, and just start building capacity to just hold yourself, hold space for yourself, for your body, for your internal world, what's going on inside. And the more you do that, the more you'll realize that it's okay to close your eyes, that it's safe, that nothing will happen, that it's okay to be with yourself, that it's okay to whatever that comes when you're closing your eyes. It's like, because I feel like many times when you're doing meditation or you're closing your eyes, you're like having this expectation of like clear mind, levitating, just like having a wonderful time. And yes, maybe, but not necessarily. Like what it means to hold yourself really means to accept yourself the way you are today, with who you already are, with everything, with all these thoughts, with all the chaos, with all the things around you. Just witnessing it, just observing it, just by observing, just by being with yourself. I know it sounds very simple, but it's challenging.
Yeah,
Just
no.
closing the eyes.
And it's so interesting because I hear this so often from people, my patients and others, where they say, yeah, I just couldn't get into meditation. I couldn't calm my mind. And that is even more evident that you would benefit from meditation. It's going to be sometimes very uncomfortable at first because you have this monkey mind that wants to take you every which way. And it's really sitting there and being able to really recognize that and saying, it is uncomfortable. And I will learn the skills to either calm them, accept them, understand them, not fear them, and just kind of sit with what my body's trying to tell me rather than doing something like saying, well, this is uncomfortable. Let me just go on my phone. Let me just work. Let me eat. Let me mask it with something else because it's so foreign to me to just sit with this. It's not for me. So it's so interesting that you say that, Laura. Just even if it's
Yeah.
a minute, or maybe you're not ready for a minute, maybe it's
30 seconds. Yeah.
maybe it's 30 seconds and just saying, okay,
It's just like
it'll
nutrition.
pass.
We are individual, and what works for me may not work for you. So it's really taking this as a principle or as a guide, and then you adapting it to yourself and making it your own. Be creative. Find a place where you feel safe, first of all. Find a little corner in your room where you are like going there every morning, 30 seconds, just closing your eyes. And literally you can just start by feeling sensations, because many times people doesn't even feel. And I've encountered this a lot. It's like, I don't feel anything. And feeling nothing is already something. But
Profound. That's
yes,
profound.
but like just as simple as trying to find a sensation in your body, for example, like tingling or changes in weight or pressure or changes in temperature or tingling or pulsations, stuff like these, like sensations. It's like a good start, a good place to start, just by starting to know these sensations, because we do know that our body is constantly feeling. And it's when people tell me I don't feel anything, and then I'm like, inside of me I'm like, no, but like you are, but like it's okay. Like it's okay that you don't feel. It's normal, because we disassociate ourselves. We live from the neck up, only in the mind, because those are the loudest. It's what makes it the most in the awareness, because it wasn't safe to be in the body at some point in your life.
Mhm.
I had this with a client once, where when she was younger, she felt like there was a disalignment, like her mind was telling her something, but her body was feeling something else.
Hmm.
But because her surroundings and her environment was not like what she was feeling and saying was not reciprocated, like they were like, no, like this is not this way, or not, that's incorrect. Then as a child, as a girl, to fit in, because again, you're trying to look up to these people that you admire, then it's not safe. It's like the brain kind of realizes, oh, it's not safe for me to feel. Something's wrong with me. So then you disassociate, and then to try to fit in. And so you give a little piece of yourself so that you can, again, get to where you are today. But that's the beauty, because we're like literally an onion, and we have tons of layers within us. And within those layers lays our inner child. Our inner child is within us. And the beauty of it, and working with a client, she actually shared this with me, which I love, which is a stamp in the time. It's as if someone stamped us in the time. And then with what we have today as my self today, I can go back to my inner child and support that parts of me that no one gave me because they didn't know, or whatever it was. I can provide that to my inner child.
It's I can't tell you the exercise of just taking the time, and it could honestly be 2 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever. It doesn't have to be like an hour, or like it doesn't have to be like what you see celebrities doing or other people on Instagram, like I meditated for 30 or 45 or an hour every single day. No, it's like 2 minutes to just visualize your inner child at a timestamp, right? Like a checkpoint. It's almost like a video game. You can go back, oh, remember when I was 8, or this like core memory, whether it's good or bad, and you can visualize it in your brain, and going back there as you and giving your inner child what it needed in that moment. It is literally like time traveling. And that's one of the most powerful exercises I've experienced, one of the most emotional exercises I've experienced, of just being that person that your inner child needed at that time, whether it was giving yourself words of encouragement or giving yourself a hug. I know it can, to
Just
me, it sounded
witnessing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Especially me, go back 5 or 10 years ago, be like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Woo woo,
Um, woo
woo woo
woo,
stuff.
oh, woo woo stuff for sure. Like, what is that? That's so weird. Now it's like I can't imagine life without it. It is so important to this healing journey, and it was so powerful. Even thinking about it, I get emotional
Yeah.
for sure. But it's like,
And it is, and that can be a beautiful practice for someone to engage in with food, because we know that
mm,
many foods can evoke different emotions in us, and sometimes we don't understand what they are, whether that's an aversion to a food, an attraction to a food, a craving for a food. Doing that exercise as well can sometimes
mm,
take us back, where we realize, oh wow, I didn't really realize that I won't eat Brussels sprouts because I had this really bad memory of someone forcing me to eat Brussels sprouts. Or, oh, that's why I love donuts, because I grew up in chaos, but donuts were a connecting food. And donuts, when we ate donuts together, that was a peaceful time for us. Or, I was so restricted from this food as a child that now as an adult, I'm not, but I now don't know how to have boundaries with this food. So I think with so many instances in our lives, this activity and this resource can be so powerful. And with food, I think it can be transformative, because it can give you this really freed relationship with food to say, it doesn't have the same power over me that it once did. I now understand that food is energy, and it's energy that I want to use as a powerful tool and a powerful resource, rather than feeling that it's energy that's beating me down or that has strong control over me. And my gut is better for it, my mental health is better for it, my relationship with food is better for it. So I think all these things can be so important and so pertinent to food, to the gut, to everything that we do day in and day out.
Yeah. I think that's why it's important. And that's why I like to take in the journey first, like bringing the body back to safety. Because once it's safe to be home in this body, then we can work on nourishment and how we relate. Again, with these parts, even with the parts of us that we didn't have a relationship, like what you were saying, James, like with your own self. How do we relate differently? Or even with food. How do we relate differently to food in a way that, it's nourishing and enjoying also? Where I'm not over here, but I'm not also here, where I'm finding this sweet spot, where with intention, I'm choosing with awareness and intention what I decide to eat today. If I feel like eating fries, I'm deciding today that I'm eating my fries. But I'm doing it from a place of intention and not because I'm afraid or because I can't eat that or because I'm going to leave them for the weekend or because I'm going to leave them for after I run 6 hours.
Or stressed, right? And like I'm just stressed and I need to just sit, but fries are here, so let me just rest and eat, and like all these other reasons.
Yeah, and it's also okay to eat them if you're stressed at times.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's overall in the picture. Like we don't look at the minimalistic things, right? We just look at the overall thing. Like if you are eating everyday fries, then we got to lay the question, like what's the intention behind it? Like, are you trying to eat the fries because you're distracting yourself or disassociating yourself from an emotion that is right now really tough to process? If the answer is yes, and you're eating it every day, then maybe let's work on tools so that you can process these emotions differently and relate to them in a different way. But it's still a tool for you if you wanted to eat your fries when you feel stressed, but not every day. You could have, like, it's like building your arsenal of tools.
Yes. And one thing I like to say to my patients is when we don't have that understanding, and that true intentionality is an act of love. So having intention with yourself is loving yourself. And something I like to say is expecting discipline without giving love can be abusive, right? If somebody is just saying, you have to do this, I don't care how you get it done, just do it, that can feel very abusive. And so we can often feel like we're abusing ourselves with saying, I just need more discipline to stop eating these fries. I have these high expectations of myself. I just need to stop eating the fries. And you're so focused on the behavior rather than the intention underneath the behavior. And so getting down and really understanding the core of that behavior and the why behind the intention, and then infusing love into that, that can be such a game changer, where now again, these fries take on a whole different persona. They're not what they once were in your life. And you are not who you once were and how you interacted with the fries or with the other person or whatever that is.
Amazing. I'm seeing some people like saying yes, like just in agreement and like comfort in food, or seeing wow. And other questions popping up. Oh, more coming in. But yeah, this is wow, very, very amazing, because again, the onion runs deep. The layers run deep. The inner child is there. Our brain is powerful, and it is just a swirl. Again, these synapses are just like it's a big, tightly packed bowl of spaghetti with all these noodles, and they're just never ending noodles of connection. So it's powerful and amazing. And this is why we're bringing this topic to light, where these physical manifestations are much deeper, right? These physical manifestations, many originating in the gut, are very, very deep and deeply connected to your brain, to your emotions, to this abundant clay of energy that we're all kind of molded from and use and reuse, and is constantly recycled. So let's be aware of that. Let's tap into resources for that. Very, very important. What are you putting up there? Yeah.
Just some good comments.
Some good
that we're
comments coming in.
receiving. I love them. And so Laura, we'd love to hear from you of who you really love supporting. What type of person is it that you really feel called to support and be there for, whether that's someone who's struggling with their hormones, their gut health, their weight? Who would you say is your favorite type of person to work with? And I know you have just this passion for what you do. So you said, I just want to share this with people, but tell us a little bit more about who you really love to work with.
So I love to work with people that are struggling with their relationship with their body, their emotions, and specifically themselves. Because I believe that it all starts from within. And if we're not home in our body or comfortable in our body, then it's really hard to witness or allow our healing to take place in nourishing ourselves, or balancing our hormones, or fully healing from our gut. I love working with people that really, they don't have like self-trust. They don't know what self-love means. They don't know what compassionate means. They don't love what kindness is. And through work, it's beautiful to see how you get someone in front of the camera or even in person, and you see them, you can see the body, and you can see their eyes, and you can see their face, and they're like contracted, ready to fly, ready to go. And as the time progresses, because it's a journey, I like to work as we are in a journey, and as it progresses, to see them themselves heal themselves. I'm just the guide and the channel. They are making all the work at home and on a daily basis with these tools. And then they come and realize, wow, like now I can relate to myself differently. Or now I still have all of these triggers, but I manage them differently, and maybe they last a little bit less. Or I can eat my food and it feels freedom because I choose what to eat today from a place of intention and love, because I'm comfortable being in my body. And it's like, it's a process. It's like, if we hate our body or we want to love our body, we first need to get to a place to neutrality, to not hating our body. And then maybe being open to the possibility of loving ourselves the way we are today.
Wow. Yes. I think, yeah, this is the beginning of many more conversations. I think,
If anybody has questions, we'd love to hear from you too.
yeah.
But yeah, this is such an important topic. I think we've seen it personally, we've seen it professionally, we've seen how
Okay.
We,
Can you hear me?
there we go.
Yes.
Back.
I was left for a second. I was like, okay, so how do we take this? Let's start the ecstatic dance over here.
Yeah. We're back. All right. And we do have some questions coming in. Let's see. But I know you got a little interrupted, but
Yeah. So no, I think that this is just such an exciting growing field of neo-emotional release, and one that I think is so powerful to combine with nutrition. So the fact that, Laura, you are a registered dietitian and you're certified in this neo-emotional release, I think positions you in just such a cool place to deliver just really well balanced, intentional, loving care. And I think that that's such a powerful tool and such an amazing resource that we're excited to have on our team. And we're excited to be offering to those who are open to really getting to the root, because it's, we can help people all we want with the symptoms. But if we don't get to the root, they're just going to keep popping back up over and over and over. We can try to help people prune these branches on their tree, or really help make them look nicer or feel nicer. But if we don't heal the root, we're more likely to just spring up more of the same. So for that person who's felt stuck, for for that person who's felt, again, they're eating the perfect diet and they're exercising the perfect recommended amount, and they are still experiencing the same symptoms. This, I think, can be something that's so powerful, so insightful, so unique, and just so valuable to them. So I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today. We got to really be vulnerable. We all got to be frank. We all got to really share so many different parts of ourselves. And Laura, we can't wait to have another one of these chats and just continue peeling these onions. Yes.
Oh, that's, now that you mentioned that about the onions, it's interesting because once you start this journey of healing, you think that everything is fixed, right? And that you're levitating and yes, your problems are gone. And it's interesting because you start this process and then it's like, oh, okay, you peel this layer, but then you hit the other layer. And then the more you start feeling, sometimes it's worse before it gets better. Because you start feeling. And if you weren't feeling before, you're going to start feeling.
And if there were unpleasant things you were consciously not feeling, yeah, like you said, maybe you're going to feel these unpleasant things. And we have that motto in Married to Health of heal with each meal. And part of that is to feel with each meal. And that might come with unpleasant feelings that people weren't necessarily wanting to feel, but hopefully with better tools, better resources, they're better prepared, better equipped to feel what's uncomfortable, to process what's uncomfortable, and with your help to release what's uncomfortable so it doesn't get stored in the body somewhere that we didn't intend it to be stored.
Love it. Guys, if you want to learn more about Laura, you can go to marriedtohealth.com under Meet the Team. You'll see Laura there. You can connect with her. You can register for our system, and you can chat in our secure, HIPAA secure, encrypted portal for our patients and learn more. You'll see Laura more. Blog is coming soon on the website. If you guys like this, comment below. Comment below if you're watching this later or if you're live. We're seeing some of your comments come in. They've all been really great and positive. But if you're watching this later, comment below if you like this, if you learned something new, or what did you like best? And we'd love to hear from you. But again, this is a new avenue in dietetics almost, right? This is kind of a new avenue in nutrition, a new way to kind of release and then move forward with, your lifestyle and lifestyle medicine. So it's really exciting. We love this really unique combination, and we're excited.
I have one question before, Laura, we wrap this up. I think this is a question others might wonder of. They might say, I'm in talk therapy, I've done talk therapy, and it wasn't helpful for me. Tell us how this might be different or another positive resource on top of talk therapy, or maybe if talk therapy wasn't what somebody was ready for at that time.
Yeah. So talk therapy has its place, like everything. What's so unique with this process is that it combines different approaches and different techniques that helps you to witness, and it locates it in the body, connects everything in the body. So while talk therapy, let's say you go to a psychologist, or I don't know what type of therapy, but I've had talk therapy before, and it's it's mental. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Let's try to, maybe add a little bit more positivity here or there. And it was very helpful because it helped me see different types of perspectives and I was seeing this in this way. Now I can see it in this way. It opened up like a door, but I didn't realize that it was coming from a deeper place because emotions or thoughts are connected. And like I said at the beginning, they're playing a ping pong. So emotions have matching thoughts, and thoughts will create more of that emotion. So let's say we feel worry, which is the emotion, then our mind will process it and try to make meaning of it. So we feel fear. No, the other way around. Fear is the emotion, then you worry. That's the thought. And then more emotion, more fear is created. So they both inspire each other. But with this approach, what we do is that it's just again, it's like you go into a journey and you're not just meditating with your eyes closed. You are being guided and you are aware of your awareness. So whenever you find something that comes up in the moment, you're there with it, with your awareness, you're witnessing it. And that is where transformation can happen, when you're able to witness that reality of the moment that was so hard. Yeah, when you witness it with awareness and are able to see it or feel it in the body, in the moment, even though it was past.
I love the ping pong analogy because first and foremost, like we said, I think in the beginning, is people don't even know they're playing this horrible game of ping pong, right? Of like fear and worry, fear and worry. And I call it horrible, but it's really not at the end of the day. But if you're stuck in the cycle of just not even aware, like, oh, I'm playing ping pong. Oh, there's fear has one paddle and worry has other paddle. And then when you think about it, though, because your brain is so complex, you may be playing 100 games of ping pong at the same time with so many different emotions and manifestations of thoughts at the same time. And just being aware of that is like, whoa, it's like you boom, you hit a new layer of your onion of consciousness. And then it becomes like, I think working through it is like, well, can I decrease some of these games? Can I maybe make these games more positive? Because you're gonna keep playing the game, right? Am I right on this analogy, Laura?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna keep playing the game, but let's make it enjoyable. Like, ping pong can be fun. Ping pong can be healthy. Your brain is set up like this for a reason. But it's realizing, okay, oh, I am playing a game. What games am I playing? How many? And then really getting in on this journey into the details of these games. And like, yeah, very cool. I love that.
Have you guys watched, before we leave, the documentary, the movie Stutz?
No.
Oh man, you have to. It's on
Okay.
Netflix with Jonah Hill and his therapist.
Ah.
It's so beautiful, so profound. And what resonated with me the most was that what he was saying is that uncertainty, pain, and constant work are gonna stay there forever with you. It doesn't matter if you're like, those are gonna be there. But I think I lost my train of thought.
No.
But it's a great documentary. And you were saying something about the ping pong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I don't
it's
know
I
how
think
I
it's a
was tying
game
it.
that you're always gonna play, I think, right? Like, it's not like it goes away.
So pain will be forever there. Like, pain is unavoidable, but the suffering happens in the mind. Like, we choose to suffer because we have resistance. We have parts of us that have a hard time accepting that piece of reality in the moment. And because of that, we suffer when we're not allowing that part of reality.
So when we're not allowing that part of reality, and someone's asking, so then how do we find comfort in those things? How do you find comfort in the pain, in the discomfort, in what we traditionally are taught to avoid?
So it's not trying to find comfort either. It's just feeling. It's just sitting with the pain with awareness. And maybe asking yourself a question like, can you tolerate this pain at the moment? And just honestly, just be like, no, I can't at the moment. Then can you allow that this is difficult to accept? Like, that there's resistance to this pain. Can you accept that there's resistance to this pain? It's just asking yourself questions. And just feeling it. And despite we can have pain, but we can still choose to be cheerful. Or we can still choose to find joy in a way. It doesn't mean that the pain will go away, but it's how we relate to the pain.
That's so important. And I think that's so profound, of saying we can't expect not to feel these painful things and be in these painful situations. It's almost like with our kids, we try to not set them up to say, oh, I'm going to make sure you never are uncomfortable, or that you never feel disappointed or sad or hurt or whatever. I'm going to try to give you the tools that you need to deal with those things when they do come your way. And so it's being aware, it's acknowledging that it's there instead of trying to mask it, and finding that comfort and understanding it, seeking the message of what it's trying to communicate to you.
Yeah, I got the visual, the image in my brain. It would be like someone like, yeah, bubble wrapping their kid, right? And expecting them to like just wear this bubble wrap everywhere and be like, like a stick figure walking around, because you never want them to get hurt. Like our daughter just fell on the cement and like scraped her face and her knee, and like pain is gonna happen. And those are like that's the kind of the physical image I got. It's like that's what we try to do to our emotions and our mind. We're like, oh, we're fine, everything's gonna be fine, we're always gonna be happy. That's not the reality, right? Just
Yeah.
like it isn't the reality of your physical body to never get injured, right? I've had knee surgery, we all get scrapes and cuts, and it's gonna happen. And being aware and accepting it in a way, and working through it in a positive way, I think, on that journey.
And if you can't accept it, just realizing and being compassionate, be like, okay, well, can I accept that I have resistance towards this?
Love that. Well, I feel like there's so much we could get into on this
we can
topic.
keep going.
It's evident that this was such a great topic. People are engaged, people are excited, have great comments, great feedback for it. So we'd love to do one of these again, Laura, because I think it's such a powerful and very important topic, especially in today's day and age of social media and what we expect of ourselves and our gut health and our overall health and all of it. So we would love, love, love to do another one of these, but hopefully going into the holidays, this is something that has been insightful for people who are watching now, watching later, of if the holidays are bringing up some discomfort for you, or you just don't know why you're in such a crabby mood, maybe around the holidays, or you feel triggered by just being in the presence of someone else, of taking that time and saying, maybe there's an onion here that I have not yet worked to peel back. So, all right.
Yes. Or
Curiosity always.
Yes. Curiosity, seeking, learning,
loving,
knowledge,
accepting.
Understanding. I mean, there's so many, again, those are so many layers for sure.
Yes.
So thank you all. We hope everyone watching, and if you're watching this later, this is before the holidays. So happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all the good stuff.
Hanukkah.
And happy Hanukkah. I mean, and we hope you all have just a healing, amazing time with family and friends. Again, you can learn more about Laura at marytot.com. She's also the Healing RD on
the emotional.
I was thinking of healing. You are the Healing RD though. The emotional RD on Instagram, and so you can follow her as well. And we're excited to have her, and we're going to be learning more about this emotional journey that we're all on. So thank you all, and as always, heal with each meal. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Feel with each meal.
Happy holidays. Yeah.
All right.
Feel.
Bye, everybody.